So it's pretty disheartening seeing all of the rage being generated by a number of athletes deciding to sit or kneel during the national anthem before the all-important sports game. Now, I get the outrage. And actually, before I get to my points, let me just say that I'm a veteran. I've been deployed to Kosovo and Afghanistan. I've done my time. Let's stick to the issues and the ideas, not the, status of the person making the ideas. Obviously you can't claim that I have not fought for my country and blah, 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 this and that. So, right, when you see somebody kneel or not pay, respect or custom courtesy to the anthem or the flag, people will get outraged because we've been conditioned to see them as symbols of freedom and, positive things generally in our life, especially tribally, since people like to belong to groups, and there's a lot of personal identity that's developed from membership in groups, especially on the national level or by country of origin. So there's a lot of outrage at people disrespecting or not paying homage to these symbols, whether it's a piece of cloth that's been dyed in a certain fashion with patterns and shapes, or if it's a series of notes and sounds arranged in a certain way. People have been getting angry about this. And just recently on Facebook, I saw that Bill O'Reilly was criticizing some football player, Brandon something. I don't really care about sports, and I don't track their names, so I don't really care about that. And I'm not going to know all the team names and stuff. But he was criticizing one of the players for taking a knee, and it even showed the guy being, an interview of the athlete in the locker room, and he was saying that, he just wants to do a little symbolic protest because there's some things about the U.S. that he would like to see changed, and it's not that he is anti-American or against America or the government per se. He just sees some problems, and he, even supports the troops, and he said he was going to donate money to veterans organizations and so on and so forth. And he seemed pretty intelligent and at least thoughtful about what he was doing. And I don't know what issues per se he was protesting, but I think that's kind of not important to the points I want to make. But then O'Reilly comes around and says, and I've seen this argument in a couple different places, that this football player who has achieved a high level of success, a high level of earnings due to, whether it's capitalism or just the general way that America is structured, that allows for people to gain a wide level or high level of success, even if they start from the bottom, per se. And so he criticized the athlete for being on the benefiting side, or at least benefiting from the structure of the U.S. and being able to achieve this high level of success, and then criticized them for turning around and bad-mouthing it, basically, or at least criticizing the whole system, which I think it is a bit of a straw man argument. He wasn't criticizing the whole system. He just said, there's parts that I don't like, and I want people to know. But the criticism that if you have been successful underneath the American economy or, socio-political economic system, if you've been successful, then you are now barred from criticizing it, which is basically what Bill O'Reilly said, and it's a common argument I've seen, which is silly because so only people who have completely screwed up their lives or who are poor or who are underachieving can criticize the system. It seems kind of silly. I would think that the high achieving people who have shown a level of dedication and competency and ability to achieve success, I would think that they would have a decent, the intelligence and the awareness enough to maybe make some criticisms. And then, but what would be appropriate is that, well, let's look at their criticisms and measure that. Let's not measure where the person comes from and say whether or not they can make arguments or not. That's actually fundamentally a leftist idea. That's arguments that you would hear like Black Lives Matter or social justice warriors make, like, oh, you can't talk about this because you're white, or you're male, or you're not trans, or you're not this, or you're not that. So O'Reilly fundamentally, and a lot of people fundamentally fall into this strange leftist identity politics argument saying, you can't criticize this because of who you are. I don't care about your ideas. I care about who you are and what you've done. So fundamentally, it's pretty silly. And furthermore, I think what's most troubling is that, sure, the anthem and the American flag are largely a symbol of, it symbolizes both American society, like private, and then it also represents our government. The flag kind of entangles both spheres of life. And so since people, and it's steeped in a history and there's a lot of momentum in the idea that America is a free place and it's built on civil liberties and, all the good stuff and capitalism and free trade, which is not necessarily the case anymore. But it's shielded by the momentum of these symbols and the concepts behind them. And so while these people fall prey to the knee-jerk reaction that, oh, they hate freedom, oh, they hate this, oh, they hate capitalism, oh, they hate, things that make this place great. Well, if you want to be blinded by the current state of affairs, being the government driving us, I think the national debt is 20 trillion and growing. And oddly, the debt has been largely ignored in this presidential election cycle, which is insane. I think the last election cycle in 2012, it was mentioned a little more often. But yeah, today it's virtually ignored. The government is heavily invested in spying on every American, and they have constant attempts to hack into all of our devices and collect all of our data. And there's constant wars, and obviously there's a huge pressures being built up between the police and groups like Black Lives Matter, or even just the public in general. I believe law enforcement, I don't think I've seen any numbers on it, but there is a growing divide between the public and law enforcement. And instead of reflecting on it, we just pick a side and just absorb all the assumptions on both sides. When, right, policing isn't inherently bad. It's a lot of the laws that they have to enforce that infringe on personal liberties. And there's a lot of people that hate police just in a knee-jerking reaction that have no real philosophical or reason and evidence behind it. But back on point. there are deep, deep fundamental flaws in the U.S. system. And I believe even if you talk to most conservatives, and I think it's conservatives by and large who are getting enraged by people not, if I may be so bold, bowing down to their golden calf. They don't realize that the freedoms and liberties and even, capitalism that the United States flag might have represented in the past is being eroded and is not the case anymore. And they could even agree that most politicians are corrupt and they lie, and that is an idea that it's far and widespread. And I'm not sure you could find many people out there that would say that, oh no, politicians are by and large honest and actually care about people. So fundamentally, all these people know that there are deep, deep problems, and that the rulers that we keep electing are deeply, deeply flawed and corrupt. But that still doesn't give them any pause in attacking anyone that calls any of these issues out, especially if it's through their symbolism, through the symbolism of the United States. So, while I understand the historical symbolism of these national symbols and the anthem and the flag, we need to update them. We need to include some contemporary and modern, situational awareness to the whole thing, and be like, you know what? I don't like that the flag's being attacked, but you know what? There might be a reason. And my last point, I think, which is kind of funny, and it points out hypocrisy a little bit, and this is my weakest point, because I don't believe in attacking hypocrisy. I believe in attacking ideas and reasons and logic and trying to find purity there. Just attacking hypocrisy is kind of a sideshow and doesn't necessarily get to the heart of the matter in a lot of things. But these people love the American flag and they want to protect it, and they have a high reverence for it because it does represent freedom, right? But then when somebody exercises their freedom of expression, they get outraged. And there are plenty of people who are calling for that kind of freedom of expression to be outlawed. And even people who express those ideas and express themselves in that way, to be assaulted. I think there's even one pastor or sports announcer at a high school recently. I'll try to link articles to him. Insinuating or saying that people who do this kind of stuff should be lined up and shot or imprisoned, which I think we can all agree is highly antithetical to freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and all that good stuff. So I want to say, let's wrap it up. It's been going too long. Is don't let yourself fall into the knee-jerk reaction of getting outraged when somebody is protesting. Don't get caught up in the manner of the protesting. Get caught up, observe, pay attention to what they're protesting, and then attack that. Don't attack how they're doing it, because what if some of these people have legitimate claims? Well, let's find out what they are, and if that needs to be fixed, we can go from there. We don't need to get caught up in symbolism, because that just muddies the water, and then we have to pick teams, and then we don't think much about the issues anymore. It's more just like, I want my team to win. My team's right. Well, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.